If you're looking for quick technique hacks, this video is not for you. As a coach, I see a ton of one-size-fits-all advice that might offer short-term fixes, but rarely helps in the long run. That's because progressing your climbing takes more than just doing this one trick. It's about developing the deeper skill set to solve harder, more complex problems. That's why in this video, I'm breaking down 3 key intermediate techniques, heel hooks, toe hooks, and drop knees through a different lens. You'll not only learn the mechanics of these techniques, but also how to troubleshoot and actually integrate them into your climbing. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's first talk about when heel hooks, toe hooks, and drop knees start to show up in your climbing. As you move beyond the beginner stage, climbs don't just get harder because of increased physical demands. The movement itself will also require a more diverse skill set. When you're a beginner, your footwork revolves around the basics: intentional foot placements, using the big toe of your shoe, and maybe you're starting to become more comfortable with inside and outside edging. But as you break into intermediate climbing, it's no longer enough to just stand on top of footholds anymore. When I asked you all which skills you consider to be intermediate, heel hooks, toe hooks, and drop knees came up again and again. And this makes sense. These techniques expand the way that you can use your lower body through your feet. Through pulling, pushing, and pivoting, you can create the stability and movement that you need for these increased demands. Let's get into our first technique, the heel hook. Like I said, no quick fixes here. There isn't just one way to use a skill, and practicing it in the same context repeatedly won't automatically add it to your toolbox. To truly integrate a skill, a few things need to happen. You have to recognize when it's useful, troubleshoot the details in that specific situation, and then actually execute it. That's why we'll use a simple 3-step framework to break down each technique: ask, assess, and adapt. For the heel hook, first ask, what purpose is this serving? What problem is it solving? For example, maybe the heel is pulling your hips into the wall. Maybe it's being used to generate momentum. Maybe it's creating opposition to hold tension. The more clarity you have here, the easier it will be to refine in the next step. Next, assess. Note what's working and what isn't. I recommend starting small with the contact point of your shoe and widening the lens as you go. Here are 4 checkpoints for troubleshooting heel hooks. The first is heel placement. The way you place your heel will vary depending on the size and type of hold you're heel hooking and the purpose that it's serving. For example, with this heel hook where I'm more passively holding tension, I prioritize getting the back of the heel onto the hold to maximize the surface area of contact. In contrast with this heel hook where I'm actively generating momentum, I place the outside of the heel on the hold so it has room to pivot throughout the movement. The second checkpoint is ankle extension. Pointing your toes away from yourself increases engagement and pulls your hips towards the heel hook. Depending on the situation, you may want more or less active engagement. Checkpoint 3 is hip rotation. Internally rotating the hip brings the body closer into the wall. In an active movement, performing this action dynamically allows you to direct momentum in and towards your target. The last checkpoint is body positioning. The rest of your body impacts the tension that the heel is holding. Here, for example, flagging my left leg allows me to better weight the heel hook and keeps it engaged throughout the movement. Finally, adapt. If something isn't working after running through the checkpoints, experiment with small tweaks. For example, with body positioning, you can try flagging your leg in different ways to see the impact. Decide on what to try next, and if it doesn't work, repeat the troubleshooting process. Now let's use the ask, assess, adapt framework for toe hooks. Again, the first step is to ask, what purpose is this toe hook serving? Toe hooks use the top of your shoe as the contact point to create tension and turn your leg into an oppositional limb. Your toe hook may be creating compression, pulling for movement, or holding tension to allow you to get into position for the next move. Again, make sure you're clear here before moving on to troubleshooting. Next, assess. Here are the 4 checkpoints for toe hooks. Again, we'll start small and widen the lens as we go. The first checkpoint is toe placement. The more toe rubber you have in contact, the more engagement you can create. Here, I line up the top of my shoe to maximize surface area. Checkpoint 2 is ankle flexion. Flexing your toes towards yourself creates more active tension. Here, my ankle is at 90 degrees and allows me to pull with the top of my foot. This naturally leads me to straightening my leg for more engagement. The third checkpoint is hip rotation. Manipulating your hip rotation allows you to both place the toe hook from different angles as well as pivot once the toe hook is placed. Here, as I internally rotate my hip, I'm able to get into a higher position. The last checkpoint is body positioning. Bringing my left hand to match and flagging my right leg shifts my weight to the right and sets me up in a stable position to move. Lastly, if you need to, adapt. Pick one change, test it in your next few tries, and if it doesn't work, repeat the loop. Last, let's use this framework for drop knees. A drop knee is a movement where from a split stance, one hip internally rotates, causing the knee to drop and creating opposition between your feet. Again, ask what purpose the drop knee is serving. Drop knees are especially useful for creating a stable base during cross-body movements, maximizing extension through the side of your body, and keeping your hips close to the wall. Next, assess using these 3 checkpoints. The first checkpoint is foot placement. Think about how you're exerting force through both feet. You're often not just pressing down on the drop knee foothold, but pushing against it to create opposition. Play with how you place your foot to optimize this opposition. Checkpoint 2 is hip rotation. Adjust how much you internally rotate the hip of your dropped knee. A deeper rotation might help you stay closer to the wall or get extra reach, but can also make it harder to move out of it. The last checkpoint is end position. Consider how you want to finish the movement. Are you jumping out from the drop knee position? Do you need both feet to stay on? Understanding the end goal of the movement helps clarify how much tension and control you need to maintain. As always, if something isn't working, go back through the checkpoints so you can continue experimenting and adapting. Now that we've gone over each technique, let's put them all together in a demo boulder. We'll be climbing on this orange problem on the 60-degree wall, and I picked this one because there are 2 beta options, both using the techniques we just covered. Both methods start the same, and right away I ran into a problem with the first move out left. I was having trouble keeping tension through this flat left foot while trying to latch the next hand. Let's use the Ask, Assess, Adapt framework. I asked, what problem am I trying to solve here? I needed a way to hold tension so I could hit the left hand without getting pulled off during the powerful movement. The solution I came up with was a high right heel hook. The purpose this heel was serving was to create opposition when I hit the left hand with momentum. But I did have some trouble sticking this move at first, so I ran through the assess checkpoints. For heel placement, because of how steep the wall was and because the lip of the hold was the best place to get friction, I placed the outside of my heel on rather than trying to roll onto the back of it. Ankle extension was a less important factor here because my goal wasn't to pull my hips towards the heel. Instead, it was to maintain enough engagement to keep tension throughout the move. My hips stayed mostly externally rotated since I wasn't trying to drive my hips upward but sideways to the left. And lastly, for body positioning, a deep back flag with my left leg helped me keep weight onto the heel and maintain tension throughout. When comparing my successful versus unsuccessful attempts, you can see that it was this last checkpoint that made the difference. When I got the deeper back flag, my hips stayed more stable and close to the wall instead of rotating off as they did with the shallower back flag. After the opening sequence, there were 2 beta options, one using toe hooks and another using a drop knee. Let's start with the intended beta, which is the toe hook sequence. Here, I did a powerful move to the first fat lip hold and then swung my feet left to the sidewall to place the first right toe hook. By pressing against the wall with the left foot and pulling with the right toe hook, I created the opposition needed to reach back with the left hand. Then, double toe hooking the same hold allowed me to get back to the first right hand to walk the feet up and place a higher left toe hook. This toe hook created compression to keep tension when I hit the right hand on the volume. I found this sequence to be quite powerful with bigger moves and requiring lots of full body tension. The alternate method used a drop knee to bypass the toe hooks. From the right hand, instead, I stepped up high with my left foot and stabbed my right foot out to smear on the volume. Both feet were pressing hard horizontally in opposite directions, creating a very stable base for matching and moving the left hand up. From there, I worked my right foot up to the foothold and matched by my right hand with a left reverse toe hook, again creating that same horizontal opposition. I was able to get a shallower drop knee to statically move the right hand to the volume hold. This method was definitely scrunchier and required more mobility than the first, but I found it suited my style more with tic-tacking hand moves and slower, more controlled movements. The last move used another heel hook, this time to generate momentum for the finish hold. Because of the limited space between the wall and the hold, I had to jump out of the heel hook right before catching the finish. You'll see that my ankle couldn't fully extend as my hips got higher, which made the timing even more important. Now, let's take a look at the whole boulder and compare the 2 methods side by side. Hopefully that demo helped you visualize these skills and the framework in action. Each of these techniques, heel hooks, toe hooks, and drop knees, are powerful tools, but they'll become most effective once you understand both how and when to use them. The Ask, Assess, Adapt process helps you take what you learn in practice and actually integrate it so that you're continuously sharpening the tools in your toolbox. Keep paying attention, keep experimenting, and over time your movement will become more intuitive and your problem-solving abilities will expand. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.